Hello, Carlene and Danielle back here with some tips. Danielle, what are we going to be talking about today?
Today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite topics, which is travel. So yes, of course, we're going on a retreat. We're going on an international retreat. So what are the logistics involved in getting there? We're going to tell you guys.
Yes, and if you are new here and you're wondering what we're talking about, we are hosting an international retreat for women who are ambitious, seeking to manifest new and beautiful things in their lives, working in alignment with their purpose, and also releasing all the stuff that may be holding them back. This year, that's happening in Bali. Yeah. Super excited. It's going to be a really good time. And the dates are December 29th through January 2nd. I don't know why I just stumbled over that. But we're really looking forward to it, and we have a great bunch of women who are already on board. So if you're interested, we do have a few spots left. Our website is sowtheseedsretreats.com. But even if you're not going on the retreat and you're thinking about it for another time, Danielle and I are both frequent travelers, have spent months, years overseas, and want to share with you some things that may be helpful to feeling acclimated. And if you are coming with us, we will have some specific tips here directly relating to getting to our retreat safely and affordably. So yeah, I think the first thing that we want to talk about is finding your flight, which is the biggest part of the affordable part. Because it is an international flight, it is a long haul flight. Yeah, you're not flying to the next state over. There are greater costs, but there are ways to minimize those costs if you know what tools to use. So my personal favorite tool, or one of them, I have a few, but I really like the app Hopper for a couple of reasons. So in Hopper, and I'll pull it up and see if you can see it, but download the app Hopper on your phone, and you can look and see actual calendar dates in different colors after you've put where you're coming from and where you're going to. So I'll give you an example. I'm based in the DC, Baltimore area. So I think I'm flying out of here. Not sure yet, which we'll talk about, choosing your airport. So I put in for the dates December 27th to January 8th. So give me a little bit of time before, a little bit of time after. Right now, the current lowest price is $15.86 round trip. Not really that interested in that price. But as I scroll down, it tells me prices will vary over the next 3 months until October 11th, dropping as low as $994, a savings of nearly $600.
I like that.
Right. I like that. I'm looking for under $1,000. Now, depending on where you're flying from, that may not be a possibility for you. I live near several international airports. I live near DC. There are diplomats coming in and out of here all the time. So I do have that advantage. But again, we'll talk about that, choosing which airport to fly out of. And then it says prices will probably rise about $116 after October 12th. So and then prices are expected to climb at least $628 after December 22nd. So I can't wait until the last minute to buy this flight, or I'll pay more money if I do. So that has me thinking that I'm going to be budgeting my money to purchase my ticket by mid to early October, and keeping an eye on this. Now, the cool thing with Hopper is that I think this is reversed. So this is probably not helpful.
No, I can see it. It's not reversed.
That way? Oh, okay. It's reversed when I'm looking at me. Which is
okay.
But yes, so it says watching. So I'm watching this. Now, another thing that I'm doing is watching from a couple other options. I have family in South Florida. Maybe I'll go home for the holidays. I might fly out of Miami or Fort Lauderdale. So I'll be checking that. I have friends in New York, so I might check that. I have friends on the West Coast, and it's often cheaper not always, cheaper to fly to Asia from the West Coast. So I have my eye on a couple of airports there.
Right.
Any other tips before I skip ahead? Sorry, you were going to say something?
Well, I was just going to say, so what's important to know, what Carlene is talking about is, you know, she will purchase her flight from Bali, potentially from another airport where the cost would be even lower, right? And so her flight, she would get a flight from Baltimore to wherever that place is. And when you add it up, when you do the math, even though it's two separate flight arrangements, it still would come out cheaper than the 1586 that she saw there, or even potentially the nine whatever
96 or something like that.
Yes, exactly.
And I'll give an example of that in a minute. But before we go on to that, because I want to show you an example of coming out of New York, because I can hop on a like $10 bus to New York. That'll get me there pretty reliably. But I have to be comfortable with adding that travel time and getting around New York to get from where the bus stop is to the airport. But I'll get into all that in a second. So just know that you have other options. If you're looking at your flights, even if you've looked at Hopper and you're like, it's like $2,000 to get to Bali, that's impossible. It doesn't have to be. I'm fairly certain that there are options that are more affordable than that. Do you have any other flight tracking tools that you like to use, Danielle?
When I'm specifically looking for a flight and maybe I don't have flexibility, and so I have very specific dates, then I'll use the ITA Matrix or Google Flights, because it'll give me a rundown of all of the flights and whatever the lowest cost is. Now, what's important to keep in mind is that that system doesn't project what the cost will be in a week, in a month, etc. So I use that specifically when I'm like, okay, I'm ready to spend money. I'm ready to buy a flight right now. Tell me what is the absolute lowest at this very moment. In terms of like being able to plan ahead and project more into the future, I would definitely say that the Hopper is going to be the best way.
Yeah. And I will say, even when it comes down to actually buying, so I keep an eye on a few different sites, but I sometimes do too much. I'm just trying to save the coins. But Google Flights does also include alerts, and you can set what those are for, and they'll periodically let you know what the prices are looking like. The thing I like about Hopper, and just kind of knowing what the flight price is now, I know that somewhere between about $1,000 to $1,500 is what I'm looking like if I'm going to fly out of Baltimore to Bali for those dates. So I have an idea of what I need to be working toward, and even though I'm looking for the cheapest price, I'm going to be budgeting toward the higher end in terms of setting money aside, just so that I have what I need to get to where I need to go. So yes, another platform that I like, especially when you're looking at predictions, and if you do have flexibility, I find that Skyscanner is a good one, and also Google Flights. I tend to go between Google Flights and Hopper the most. Google Flights does let you play around with, oh, what happens if I leave one day earlier? What happens if I stay one day longer?
Yeah.
And that's something that we're going to talk about in a little bit as well. Staying longer or coming earlier, what that looks like for you financially.
Right. And another thing that we've noticed too is that a lot of the women who are already planning to join us on the retreat are coming from like very similar areas, right? So we already know Carlene is anticipating to come from Baltimore because she lives in Baltimore to, get to Bali, whether that means she's going to go to Miami or New York, for example, and then go to Bali, or leave straight out of Baltimore. She lives there, so she's got to get from Baltimore to Bali. Many of you ladies live in the DMV. So should Carlene come up on, a really amazing flight deal, we are more than happy to say, okay, ladies who live in the DMV, this ticket price is such and such. This is probably the lowest it's going to get, because we're already looking out for it, right? There's a group of women who are coming from Chicago. Same sort of thing. And so we'll be having platforms and such set up once everyone is confirmed so that we can talk and plan our travel together. Maybe it's your first time traveling and there's another woman who's going who lives in your state and you would like to, you know, travel at the same time with her. Just to have a travel buddy to maybe alleviate a little bit of anxiety or, you know,
it costs.
It costs, and it's just always fun sometimes to just, you know, be able to go to an airport, hang out in the airport during the layovers, et cetera, and have someone there who you know. So maybe that's jumping the gun a little bit, but the intention behind me bringing that up was to let you all know we're already tracking certain areas, and anything that we see that is just amazing, we'll definitely be sending that out in the email blast.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Thank you for highlighting that. And on that note, like one thing I like about Hopper is, yeah, it'll give me the predictions, but every now and then there's flight glitches and there's deals. So if I see something that's like $700 round trip to Bali and it includes the dates, best believe I'm buying it. I'm not thinking about it. If the money's in the account and I'm not taking from my rent, then it is, it's something that I would lock down. And that's something that we would share. Something to know on that note about making quick decisions about flights. If you see something that's significantly lower than the expected amount and you're wondering if you should do it, you should need to talk to your boss, you blah, blah, blah. If you have the funds, of course, that's the assumption. Like I said, you're not taking from your rent, you're not taking from your grocery budget.
Right.
Then I would go ahead and do it because you have 24 hours to, as long as you are not within 1 week of your travel, you have 24 hours to refund. No questions asked, no fees, no cancellation charges. You have 24 hours to refund. So if you're like, I need to buy this ticket because it's probably a sale or a glitch that's going to go away, but I haven't confirmed the time off. If you have the flexibility to make that purchase, I would go ahead and do it and then line things up after within those 24 hours.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And American Airlines also has an option where you can place a 24-hour hold without a credit card. So because it is an international flight, there may be something that goes through American Airlines. Those are some things to think about with making your purchase quickly as you're tracking your flights.
Well, I was just going to say, I can't underline, highlight, underscore what you've said enough. I've been on both sides. I've been on every side of that scenario. So I flew to Kenya, Tanzania, Ethiopia for $400 round trip, right? Because flight deal, is like
South Africa, less than $400.
Like there is no time to call your friend, see if she want to do it. What you gonna do, girl? You got to get that ticket. I've also been on the side of, you know, what you gonna do, girl? You want to go? We gonna go. And then by the time that decision is made, you're like, okay, boom, let me buy my ticket, and that price is gone. And I've been on the side of, okay, bought it, thought I wanted it, and within 24 hours, for whatever reason, no longer able to go and got my money back. It was processed, no problem. So from experience, from every side and every angle, if we, you know, put you on notice to something like that, if you see something like that, a friend tells you, it should behoove you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, cool. On that note, the point of choosing airports. This is something that we kind of mentioned, and so that we would get back to. Choosing your airport. To arrive is the easy part. There's one airport in Bali on the island. Don't fly to another island and plan to ferry over. Unless you're planning to spend time on that island, just fly to Bali. It'll be yes. And our ground transportation that we're providing for you will pick you up from the airport. If there are any exceptions, like if you're coming before that, then reach out to us. But right now, our ground transportation that's included in your purchase is from the to and from the airport. So that airport is, the airport code is DPS. Do you feel like trying to pronounce it?
Or? Try my best. Okay. Ngurah Rai International Airport.
Yeah.
Ngurah, one word, and then Rai. But if you just go into Google and type in Bali Airport, DPS, it'll pop right up, because as Carlene mentioned, it's the only airport on the island.
Right. Cool. Now, as we kind of alluded to before, in terms of choosing which airport to fly out of to get there, I mentioned that I might fly out of New York. So I'm looking at New York in Hopper as well. And the information it's telling me is that right now, the current lowest price out of New York is $13.48. Is it worth the savings of $200 for me to make that purchase today versus making a purchase out of Baltimore? Maybe not. But I look and I see, until August 16th, the prices will vary over the next 6 weeks, dropping as low as $835. So, okay, that's significantly lower. Now we're talking about almost half of what the Baltimore price today would have been if I wait just 1 month and some change to book my ticket out of New York. That's definitely worth it to me. And depending on the times of day of the flight, then I could look from Baltimore, I can get on the Megabus or on Amtrak and make my way up there. And then, of course, I do still have to get over to the airport. So something to think about when you're mapping it out. It's not just all dollars that you save. That's a lot of extra energy. It's adding to my travel time. I literally live less than 5 minutes from the airport in Baltimore. So is it worth it for me to add 5 hours of travel to an already really long travel experience to fly out of New York? It's going to depend on the amount of money that I'm saving, but you have to think, not only is that the Bolt bus or Megabus ride or Amtrak ride, I have to get from that station to the airport. I'm going to be hungry, so that's another meal I'm not eating at home. And then that's just like 5 more hours to add to an already 20-some hour flight travel experience. So things to take into consideration. It's not always the exact dollars, but depending on the price range and depending on what my pockets are set up like, it might be worth it to be a little bit uncomfortable. Also, if you have family or friends that you can crash somewhere for a night, you might add it on to your trip where you're going to make a visit and that's a dedicated stop. And then you go from there to continue on to Bali. So some airports I would say to look out for, JFK in New York, Dulles in the Baltimore, DC area, also Baltimore, Washington International. The cool thing about looking on Hopper is that you can track multiple options. So I get updates for multiple options. I also know, as I mentioned, early December or mid-December, I'm planning to go. Maybe I'll stop by my family in Florida first, since I'm not planning to spend the holidays there. Okay, so maybe I'll pay them a visit so I could track the flights going out of there. I can track this on Hopper, I can track this on Google, and make a decision closer to when, based on the predictions, closer to when that time comes.
Yeah. Other airports I would add, O'Hare and San Francisco.
And LAX.
And LAX. Thank you.
Definitely LAX. In fact, the last time I went to Bali, the first time I went to Bali, I think I flew out of Miami. And just whatever that flight was. That was also I think that was my first time to Asia. So I don't know if I had all the knowledge that I have now. The next time I flew to LA, spent the night because it was cheap enough to book an airport hotel. I split it with my brother, and then we went on because it took a quick shuttle over to the airport and we're refreshed, and then began our long haul over to Asia. So there's that. Another thing I want to point out, now this is kind of random and really not that important in the grand scheme of things, but some layover airports that, because you will quite likely have a layover flying to Bali, some layover airports that I really enjoy are Singapore. If you can lay over in the airport in Singapore, it's an experience in and of itself. And there are places that you can crash. There's like a movie theater room that has comfy couch chairs. So if you have a long layover, you can catch a nap. They also have really great lounges. And if you're there long enough, you can get a tour of Singapore for free. And the airport in Japan, in Tokyo, was also really nice. Never made it out of the airport, but the airport itself was really nice.
Narita?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Outside of the airport, it's really nice. It's a cute little town. I went out, got some noodles, saw the little shopping area. And so that's the thing, right? If you are feeling adventurous, then a lot of times when I travel internationally, I will intentionally book an extended layover so that I can have time to go out and see and explore a place that I haven't been to. Mm-hmm. So how do you know if it's enough time? For me, it's got to be 5 hours or more, because I want to be able to go. I want to see, and I don't want to be running madly through the city trying to get back to the airport. I want to be able to go and explore a little bit. So you can do something, as little as like a 6-hour layover. I have a trip coming up in a few weeks, and I've got a 17-hour layover in Qatar. So a lot of what you were saying, the airport itself is beautiful. They have a spa. You get a free tour if you go out and come back. I want to go and see and explore. So these are things to be thinking about. If you're like, listen, I'm not that adventurous. I want to get there. I want to do my thing, or I don't have that much time to extend my trip. Then be intentional about your layovers. Maybe find a layover that's only 1 or 2 hours.
Yeah,
so that you're not in the airport for however long.
Right. On that note, it is a long flight. So just from personal experience, and again, depending on how much time you have and how adventurous you're feeling, as Danielle said, it may be more comfortable for you to be able to stretch and spend 17 hours where you can walk, you can take a nap, you can see something new, you can eat non-airplane food, you can use a non-airplane bathroom, you can freshen up. That might be paying to have access to an airport lounge, or maybe you have that included in some of your credit card benefits. So I mention this because Google and Hopper and all these flight trackers, they're generally going to try to find you the cheapest flight, but also suggest the shortest flight. You may not want the shortest flight. I might actually want to take 40 hours to get to Bali because I get to spend 10 hours in a new cool place without paying for a hotel. Mm-hmm. So I know there's a lot of information, but ultimately whatever you decide is fine, because once you get to Bali, you'll have a great time. We'll make sure that you're well taken care of. We got you covered on all the love languages, and the intention is to retreat, relax, to breathe. And so whatever you choose will be fine. But if you do have extra travel time, these are ways that you can extend your trip without necessarily spending more money. Mm-hmm. So imagine you can see another place and experience another place for a few hours without having to pay. On that note, just a quick point. We're going to talk about packing probably in a separate video just based on time. Mm-hmm. But as you can imagine, coming on and off planes, hopping around, seeing different cities, these are reasons why Danielle and I are team carry-on. I'm just going to throw that out there because you don't got to think about, but what am I going to do with my suitcases? I have to lug them around. Just things to think about.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously with international travel, you need a passport. Mm-hmm. Want to talk about that really quickly, Danielle?
Yes. So with the passport, as an American citizen, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks to process. So you want to start this, you must start this process 4 to 6 weeks prior to your travel. Let me tell you though, please don't wait until about a month and a half before the trip. It is July. We're leaving at the end of December. If you know that you're going, go get your passport now, today, because hiccups happen every day, all the time. And the last thing you want, again, like Carlene mentioned, it's to retreat. It is to breathe. It is to, be able to unwind. And if leading up to the retreat, you're like checking your mail frantically every day, worrying what's going to happen if this passport doesn't come. Oh my gosh, I've already bought my flight. I've already paid for the retreat. What am I going to do? Just trust me when I say hiccups happen. Start the process today. If you know that you're even remotely interested in the retreat and you don't have a passport, or even if you just know even if I'm interested in the retreat, I'm not sure if I can make the retreat happen, but I know I'm going to travel internationally at some point in the near future, get the passport today. And if you're already confirmed for the retreat, then absolutely 100% go ahead and start that process. So what does the process look like? The best way to do it is to do it through the U.S. Post Office. There are all types of third-party companies and organizations that say, I'll help you get it, I'll expedite it, I'll make it easy for you. I have had friends who have been scammed going through a third-party organization, and there's really, if you think about it, there's no need. Why am I going to even pay an extra surcharge for someone to do this process? It's actually really not even that difficult. So you'll go to the post office, you'll pay your money, you'll fill out the forms, they'll take a photo of you, your face can't be covered, you can't be wearing a hat, sunglasses, anything like that. And they'll tell you all of this when you get there. Just a regular photo of your face. And then they'll start the processing. So what's the cost? The cost to get a passport book is $110, and then $35. If you've never had a passport before, then there's a $35 fee added to that you'll pay. So $110 plus $35. Now they'll ask you, do you want to get a passport book or a passport card? There's no need to get a card whatsoever. Just go ahead and get the book. The card won't get you to Bali. So you'll have paid that money and gone through that process, and then you won't be able to join us in Bali. So get the passport book. And then let's say that you have a passport and you need to get the time on it extended, or you need more pages added to your passport because you're not a traveler, etc. Then there, of course, is a fee for that. And that's just the $110, not the $35. And if you have a passport, be diligent. Go get your passport today. Take a look at it and see, okay, how many months do I have left on the passport? What's required is that you have at least 6 months left in order to travel internationally. If you have 12 months or less left on your passport, then our recommendation is to just go ahead and get that passport extended. Go ahead and apply for a new passport. Let's say that for some reason life happens, you're not able to heed our advice, etc., and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to get an expedited passport. I'm like, within the 4 to 6 weeks, what do I do? What's going to happen? You can apply for an expedited passport, and the fee is $60 on top of all of the other fees that I just named. So it's a possibility, though. In our experience, we highly recommend, if you can avoid it, just go ahead, just take your time, let it be super smooth. And once you go to the post office and take care of it, it's smooth sailing from there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely echo everything Danielle said. Highlight, underline, bold, italicize, triple highlight. Take care of it. Take care of it, even just on a quick caveat. talking about manifestation, right? If you're not coming to this particular retreat, or you don't see that being within your future at this exact moment, but you know that international travel is something you want to do, then if you have the means, consider taking a tangible step toward making international travel a reality for you. Having a passport does that. Then when things like flight deals come up and the flight is for next month or a few weeks from now, and it's like we mentioned, I paid I think I paid like $350 round trip to go to South Africa. No, it's $390, and I paid like $350 to go to Paris and Portugal with my mom. Like, you got to be ready. I was like, I'm done with international travel. Oh, wait. No, I'm not. If I had to go and renew my passport or get a passport, that just eliminates that possibility. So if you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. But yeah, passport, and like she said, it's a really seamless process. Now, if you're traveling internationally, you may need a visa. Mm-hmm. A visa is the thing that goes in your passport that gives you permission to enter that particular country. It varies from country to country. You can just Google, as a US citizen, do I need a visa to enter XYZ? In this case, in Bali, you do not need to have a visa in advance. However, when you arrive at the airport and you come off the plane and you go through customs and all that, you're going to get to a place where to let you in the country, they are going to offer you a visa on arrival. If you're a tourist and you're only going to be there for 30 days or less, this is the option that you would take. If you're planning to be there longer, then you would need to take care of a visa in advance. But for the purposes of this retreat, you would go through that line, you would pay them $35 cash, I believe cash, come with cash. Pay them $35 cash. They put a little thing in your passport and you're good to go. So if you run into any problems, which you won't, but they'll just check it on your way out to make sure that you haven't overextended your visa. And if you decide that you need to stay longer, then there's an easy process for getting that renewed as well. Okay, travel insurance. I don't have a personal recommendation, to be perfectly honest with you, but I do strongly suggest travel insurance for international travel. You never know when something can happen. And just for the same reasons that you may get the added insurance when you rent a car or anything, any reason, whether there are flight changes that you can't control, or flight changes and now you have to stay in a hotel, or something happens health-wise and you're stuck there, or whichever plan you choose, you can look and see what they include and decide what's important to you. Some of them are as generous as cancel for any reason, and they will reimburse the expenses that you paid, obviously outside of the travel insurance. One really reputable name that kept coming up for me was World Nomads. It has been endorsed by Lonely Planet and Eurail, if you are familiar with the rail lines that take you all around Europe. So that is something to look for. You can also do more research, ask around if you have any friends who have specific travel insurance recommendations or codes to offer you. So yes.
So for your lodging and your room assignment, so all of this, and now you're finally in Bali. You've made it, you've got your passport, boom, paid your visa, you've tracked your flight, all of the things. Now you're in Bali. So, of course, you're gonna need a place to stay. That's, of course, included in the cost of the ticket. And the location at the Alaya Resort is just breathtaking. Every time I look at it, I'm like, oh, goodness, I'm so excited that I get to stay there, that I'm going to be there, that we're going to be in this sisterhood, in this community, in this place that's really going to support the work that we're going to be doing. All of the rooms for the tickets are, they're shared rooms. So you won't be sharing a bed. The beds will be separate unless you're traveling with a partner and you have that preference. Then, of course, you can request that and just let us know. But standard is that you'll be in one bed in a room, and then somebody else, probably a stranger, will be in the other room. Say you have a friend who's also signing up on the retreat, or you've met a friend through one of our many opportunities for you all to get to know each other before the retreat, and you're like, oh my gosh, we're from the same city, or oh my goodness, we have this in common. I would love to room with Carlene. Then let us know, and we will do our best to accommodate that. If you don't have a recommendation, you're like, I don't know anyone, I'm just going to do my own thing and be free, then we're going to assign the rooms strategically, so that based off of what we've gotten to know from you through the application, through any of the interviews, if we see that there are things that are in common or in alignment, or maybe you're showing up for the same reason or intention, then we'll strategically place you. So you can request, you cannot request, but know that every detail is done in an intention. If you've already paid your deposit and you want to have your own room, you don't want to share a room with anyone, then that is a possibility. So what you'll need to do is contact Carlene and I, email us at hello@sowtheseedsretreats.com, and we'll do our best to facilitate that with the resort. So we've already blocked off rooms and such, and so we'll go ahead and take care of the logistics to do our best to get you your own room. And there is an added cost of $500 if you want your own room. And as soon as that's confirmed, we'll let you know. And if for some reason, we always do our best to accommodate, but if for some reason it's not possible, then of course we'll let you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, your ground transportation from the airport to the lodging is taken care of. Yeah. So, as Danielle mentioned, you've done all this research, you've gotten your flights, you found a good deal, you've used some of the tips that we have shared with you, then that's really the last major thing that you need to worry about. Mm-hmm. There are a couple of small meals, and we will get into that in a video about the details of the itinerary for those that are attending, but very small meals, very affordable, and you have the option of using a discount at the resort restaurants or exploring. We wanted to give you the flexibility to have some autonomous time that you can link with new friends or take a breath on your own, eat a snack, not necessarily a meal. That's up to you. Okay, on this note, a lot of what we talked about early on with the flight tracking involved flexibility with times, dates that you can travel. When I would have people ask me, how are you able to, you must have hit the lottery, how are you able to travel so much? I'd be like, well, I don't have a traditional job. I have the opportunity to look and see, oh, I can leave 2 days earlier, and it may cost me less on the flight and cost me a fraction of that on the hotel. So that exchange is worth it to me because I get an extended experience. Mm-hmm. When I went to Bali, the first time, I think I only went for a week. I don't even know if it was a full week. And I went for a particular event, so I went with particular dates. The second time I went, I did go for a particular event, but the workshop was a month long, and I extended my time to stay a month after that. So I looked at my options and was able to use some time before and after to determine when I wanted to arrive. So when you're dealing with flight tracking, if you have that flexibility, then take advantage of that. Now, when it comes to whether you come earlier or stay longer, if you want to do that in community with other people who are attending, I already know of at least one other person, actually 2 other people, not including myself, who is planning to be there a little bit before and after. If you communicate with us, we can put you in touch with the resort to secure additional accommodations there so it can be seamless for you if that's what you want. But you also have the flexibility to find other accommodations. And again, reach out to us. We have resources that we'd be happy to share depending on your specific needs. Also, as I mentioned, there may be other women who want to travel for similar dates. We would really love to pair you all up. That if you want to stay a little longer and it's 3 or 4 of you guys, you can get a villa for the cost of, for a more affordable cost than if you were to get a room on your own. So things like that are things we would really love to facilitate. Mm-hmm. Just in general, you're going to be flying a long time. And it's worth it. It's worth it for a glimpse of Bali. I know that sounds really like romanticized, but it really is a pretty special place. But if you have the opportunity to stay longer, when you consider things like jet lag and just being tired and there being so many things to see and experience. I know the first time I went to Bali, I was like, no, this is not, I need more. And I came back for a whole another 2 months and I still knew I needed to come back again. So if you have that flexibility, then I would suggest staying longer because the biggest expense for you is really going to be your flight. Mm-hmm. So by the time you've made that purchase, if you can extend your time, then there will be plenty for you to see, do, and experience.
Yes.
Anything you wanted to add on that note?
No. Of course, we'll be facilitating whatever you guys decide, facilitating, who's arriving when, who's leaving when, etc. So that so our job is to always make it seamless for you. And it's important that you all really truly know that, so that as you're planning, as you're brainstorming, as you're thinking about things, if a challenge comes to mind, let us know. We may have a past experience or a friend who has had a similar experience where we can lend suggestions. We may have a solution for you. Mm-hmm. And so whatever it is, we want to facilitate alleviating those challenges, making it really seamless in every way possible. So from what's the best time for me to leave or stay, or, okay, I'm going to come early. Do you have any hotel recommendations I can stay at when I get there that's really close to the location? Essentially, think of us as your personalized retreat travel agents, right? So whatever questions you have that you want to know about, maybe you're not an American citizen and you've never traveled internationally before and you really are very unsure about the passport process, we can definitely facilitate helping you get that information to you, right? So through and through, be in close contact with us if you would like, if you need that assistance, and we're happy to assist.
Yes, and I almost forgot. One thing that we do know for sure is that for 2 days after the retreat, so the retreat is officially from December 29th through January 2nd, but on the 3rd and the 4th, we do have optional excursions that we will really finalize with you and see what all you are really excited about going to do and doing them together. But we have some really great options. So if you're already thinking, yeah, I want to just make that a full week experience, then, and don't want to think about too many additional details and want to do it in community, then there's that at a minimum. That really should have been what I led with. But I was thinking about all the other logistics if you wanted to mix and match. And as Danielle said, personalized experience. Yes, it is a group retreat, but one of the reasons why we have it as an intimate experience is because we want to be able to create a personal experience. Your transformation, your experience in Bali, your experience with us is all going to vary from person to person. So we want to make sure that you are equipped as much as possible to have what you need to manifest the experience you're looking for.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's move on to talking about safety. As a general conversation around Bali, and particularly Ubud, it is a very walkable small town, the area that we're going to be in. So we're going to be in essentially like downtown Ubud, which has a main loop, and we are in a private resort, but that is really right on the edge of that loop, really in that loop. And so you'll have the ability to retreat, but also the ability to go out on your own. In my time traveling in Ubud, I felt comfortable being on my own, particularly during the day. I didn't have any issues there, and I saw a lot of other people doing the same. I met a lot of other single women travelers. That said, that was just my feeling. That's not necessarily based on any statistics, but what I know of Bali is that it is generally safe for solo travelers. But guess what? You're not traveling solo. You're traveling with us. Mm-hmm. And you'll be traveling with new people who are new to Bali as well. So, I mean, I would always suggest, if you're going to go out and wander, to do so in groups, and making sure that you have a phone that gives you access to being able to reach back out to us. We'll have WhatsApp communication. Most cafes there will have Wi-Fi, so if you need to pop in and be like, wait, how do I get to what? Or whatever comes up, then we will have lines of communication open to really facilitate your safety. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think if there's anything else on this line of safety. Oh, yes, when you're at the airport. So your interaction with us in Bali really begins once you get through to the driver who will be transporting you. There will be a lot of people who will offer to take your bags for you, to drive you, to tell you, no, try to confuse you. It's just what happens. But know that you will be looking for someone holding a sign with your name. That can't be made up. And so you don't really need any assistance from anyone else. The potential danger really anywhere with someone having access to your suitcases is that they could put things that you didn't authorize in them. So I suggest just keeping a vigilant eye. Not that I have any personal experience of that happening in Bali, but just keep an eye on your materials. Another reason why carry-on only is a good idea. It's less to think about, less to manage, and you'll just make your way through to where the drivers are with the signs and look for the one with your name on it. If it doesn't have your name and they're telling you, oh yeah, it's me, I'm here for you. Who is me? Who is you? So yeah, we have your safety in mind with facilitating a smooth experience getting to us to have a continued safe experience.
Yes. Yes. So as far as drinking water, really from the time that I would say, I mean, in general, in life, stay hydrated. But at least like 24 to 48 hours before you fly, you definitely want to up your water intake because, like Carlene mentioned, it's a long haul. The altitudes are high because you're traveling by plane. And so it takes a toll on the body, and you want to just make sure that you are preparing the body, you know, on the beginning stages. So definitely start like really being very intentional about your hydration 24 to 48 hours before you travel. What I like to do is I travel with this. This is all that I need in a day. This is 64 ounces. And I empty it when I go to the airport. And then I just fill it back up with airport water. So when you're leaving from the States, you know, fill it up with water there. And then, you know, you can drink that on the flight. Throughout the trip, once you touch down, we will have safe drinking water for you. So you won't have to, you know, to worry about that, where you can definitely stay hydrated. You won't have to wonder or worry, you know, where is the water coming from? Is it going to make you sick, etc. Carlene, do you have anything else that you want to specifically add?
Well, for one thing, I would say if you're thinking about hydration and other just health tips, definitely watch our video with Dr. Tiffany Lester. Because
Yes.
she drops all the gems. Like, I was seriously like, oh, I never thought of that. Oh, it's so great. Thanks. And her explanations from a doctor's perspective, whose focus is on wellness, was really helpful. And she travels a lot, so she has firsthand experience. And she talks about hydration and taking chlorophyll, which helps with that. And even tips about salt, which I wouldn't have expected, to having a salty snack to help with water retention, which was a surprising idea for me because everyone's like, be healthy, don't have less salt. And so here's a doctor saying, you're traveling, have more salt. It's like, wait, what? Mind blown. But yes. And then on the tip of drinking water, Bali is somewhere where you do want to be mindful of the drinking water. But we will make sure, as Danielle said, that you have the water that you need to stay hydrated on any excursions in the hotel, in the resort. And it's also really accessible. So if you're going to a cafe and they ask you if you want bottled or tap, just ask for bottled. It's not going to break the bank for you. It's worth the couple cents more.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if there's anything else that came to mind. I will say, if there's anything that we didn't cover or anything that felt unclear because maybe it was your first time hearing this information, do not hesitate to reach out. As Danielle has emphasized, we are really accessible. We'll do our best to be prompt in our response. Also, at a minimum, we hope that some of the things we've mentioned give you information to even start to Google. And we will follow up with other videos, especially on the topic of like what to pack and making sure that you're equipped for your specific experience on the retreat. But yes, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us with them and we can follow up like in another video like this or on Instagram Live or Facebook Live or whatever, or via email if it's a personalized question. So we definitely want to make sure that you feel supported in the process, especially if this is unfamiliar to you.
Yes.
Yeah, I think
so if you watch our videos and you read our emails, so how do you get on the Sow the Seeds email blast? Apply for the retreat. We are going through another round of applications. So if you have applied and you haven't heard anything back, know that you'll be hearing from me very soon. And if you haven't applied, then this is great timing because I haven't yet started the next round of applications. And so that'll be happening very soon. But whether you're reading an email, you're watching this video, we have a promo code for you guys. We want to reward you all for being engaged, for taking the time to listen, to learn, and even taking the time to watch this all the way through the end. It's a part of your manifestation process. It's showing how committed you are in getting the information that is needed for you to manifest experience in your life. Carlene, do you want to talk more about that? Did I miss something?
No, you didn't. So just in the interest of keeping the promo code to people who are genuinely interested, reach out to us. Reach out to us. Our email address is hello@sowtheseedsretreats.com, and we'll send you that promo code. So what the promo code will do for you, if at the time of recording it is July 3rd, and our current payment structure is 4 payments and option to pay in full. What we will do is give you the opportunity to save $200 either way. You can either save $200 off of the payment in full or save $50 off each of your 4 payments. So depending on which preference you have, we will get that to you. So just reach out to us, and again, as Danielle said, this is for applicants. Only people who are getting the payment link to the shopping cart are accepted applicants. We are being really intentional about the space that we're cultivating, the women that we have there, those that are, and it's not a matter of worth or anything like that. It's those that are expressing similar values, who are particularly focused on contributing back into the community, and who we feel we can support in getting to where you want to go. Because I am only interested in helping who is for me to help. Because if I can't help you, then I'm not trying to, this is not a money grab. Mm-hmm. So we're really being intentional about the women that are in the room and cultivating that space. We're looking at, as much as possible, personality compatibility and just general wanting to really knit together a community of 20 women who wouldn't have known each other otherwise, to go out into the world feeling exponentially more supported by 20 more women, plus the team, plus the teams, and the women's. And ultimately, you are kind of tightening this net of sisterhood to hold you when you need to be held, because life, period. So yes, promo code will save you $200 if you pay in full, and for $50 payments equaling $200 if you make the payment plan. That said, our payment plan for 4 payments ends July 31st. So this is something that you're interested in, apply, make a note of that to us, and we will go from there.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think that's everything. I keep feeling like, I know with international travel, there's so many things I'm sure we could address. And hopefully you found this helpful. And if you have any questions, do reach out to us, preferably via email, because I know I have a system for responding to emails. If you hit me on Instagram, it's a little, touch and go. I'll do my best, but if I'm in my email inbox, I'm in that state of mind to help you out. Thank you for your time, for joining us on this video, and we have more content coming for you. Do be sure to check out, as I mentioned, the video with Dr. Tiffany Lester. And if you're not familiar, she's going to be one of our featured guests. We also have Lauren Ash of Black Girl in Om joining us as one of our featured guests. She also did a video with us sharing so many ways that she stays intentional and in tune with her mental, emotional, spiritual wellness while being on the road. And she has a lot of experience there. And that was also a really great video. So we're happy to share this content with you, and happy to create more content to answer your questions. Until the next video or email, thank you for joining us, and see you soon, hopefully in Bali, if not before then.